right. Can you guys all hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay. Everybody good? All right, cool. We're going to have some stragglers come in and join us here late. So we'll go ahead and admit these guys as they do. We've got 50 guys on the call right now. Guys, do me a favor real quick. If you would just, hold on. Just go ahead and mute your microphones. I'll go ahead and do that right now on my end just to make sure that's all taken care of. But if you just look at that real quick and make sure your microphone is muted, that would be very, very helpful. And then just keep an eye on that. Well, guys, it's good to see everybody. We're going to have some stragglers come in. I'm really glad that all of you guys are here. Really looking forward to sharing the Iron Council. We started the Iron Council about 8 years ago at this point, really with my goal of helping men with all the tools and resources that they need to thrive in every capacity of life. So I don't care whether you're married, single, an entrepreneur, a business owner, or anywhere in between. It really doesn't matter. If you're a man and you're trying to improve your station in life, in fitness, in business, in your community, in your relationships, then you're in the right place. That's what we're all about. And I see a couple of guys already here who are in the Iron Council. I see Jay and Brian and Daryl and Peter and Kip. I see a bunch of guys, Alan, Spencer. I see a lot of guys who are already in the Iron Council. I'm really glad these guys are here. And I think that if I could give them all time, I would. And they would hopefully attest to the idea and the fact that what we're doing here hopefully is transformative. That's what we're trying to do. If you want the same results that you've always had in 2024, then you can continue along your path and everything that you've done. But if you want something different, then you've got to do something different. One of the biggest critiques I often receive regarding the Iron Council is paying for friends. We don't have to pay for friends. We're not friends here. Now we might be, but that's ancillary to what we're doing here. The whole goal of what we're doing is to hold each other accountable, to have a brotherhood, to have something that goes not just beyond, or not just like a neighborhood friendship, but something deeper where we can hold each other accountable. We can help each other grow. We can call each other up and out as needed and really help each other improve. So what you're going to experience tonight is a little behind the scenes peek at what we're doing. We're going to go for about an hour. I'm not going to waste a lot of time. You're going to hear from some of our senior leadership with regards to different capacities and different features of the Iron Council that are going to take about 10 minutes each. I've got 4 of these guys who are going to present and talk with us, and you're going to hear from them. And then we'll open up some time for some Q&A. So if you have some questions about what the Iron Council is about, or specifically anything I might be able to answer for you, then we'll go ahead and take care of that. Okay. So also what I'm going to do towards the end is just give you a little inside peek to our platform that we use. One of the things I hear quite often is that a lot of the guys who are considering joining us in the Iron Council don't use social media. We don't use social media for the Iron Council either. It's a distraction. It's a waste of time. It's not conducive to growth. So we use a closed platform that allows us to be hyper-focused on specifically what you want. And one of the beautiful things that we do inside the IC is that we allow you to customize your experience. So if you want to really focus on becoming a better father, for example, then you'll have opportunities to join the fatherhood channel and talk with guys directly on what fatherhood means and how you can improve, or if it's fitness or firearms or just name a topic, then we discuss that here in the Iron Council. Okay. So the first thing I'd like to do before I get into it, and also I want to say this is the Iron Council. This is not the Ryan Council. And this is not a movement built around me. A lot of the times you'll see a lot of men's movements that are built around a central figurehead, and you're supposed to worship that figurehead. Like, this is the guy, this is the system, this is the only way to do it. One thing that I think really sets us apart from anything else out there is that's not what we're about here. This is not the Ryan Mickler show. This is the Iron Council. We put the mission first. And the mission is to reclaim and restore masculinity. And the mission specifically within the Iron Council is to give you all of the tools and resources that you as a man need to thrive as a husband, business owner, community leader, father, etc. If I can help you with that, great. If there's other men, and you're going to hear from 4 of them tonight, that can help you better accomplish that mission, that's what we're all about. So it's the mission first, and it's improving your life, not about stroking my ego or making me feel better about myself. I feel just fine about myself. I don't need you guys to prop me up. So we're here to serve you. All right. So the first thing I want to do is give some time over to not only a good friend, but somebody who, and I don't have a lot of people in my life who are willing to call me out, who are willing to say things that need to be said, even if they're uncomfortable for me personally to hear. But this man has become not only a good friend, but a good advocate and a good mentor for me. Very successful in his own right, his entrepreneurial journeys and the things that he's doing. And I'm very happy that he is banded with us. And I'm going to turn some time over to Alan Placer to talk a little bit about mindset and even get into a one-off call that he does every week called In the Trenches that may serve you guys as well. So, Alan, I appreciate you, brother. I love you, brother. And I'm glad that you're going to be able to share with these guys.
Ryan, thanks for having me. As always, I love the opportunity to give back some of the things I've learned along my journey. Of course, 10 minutes to talk about mindset is a very small peek into what we do in the Iron Council. In my journey, I think most of us in life at some point we were in the gutters. I was there at one point, and what I realized, I was looking up at men who kind of I looked up to as a mentor, a leader in life, and I was like, well, wait a minute, he could do it, so why can't I do it? And I think we've all probably done that at some point. And what I realized is we all have two arms and two legs. The only difference from one of us to the other is the mindset. It's what we do with our brains. It's how we choose to process information and move forward with it. And once I realized that, the the world became open to me to whatever I wanted to achieve, because if somebody else did it, there's no reason I can't do it. Now, of course, there's the limitations. I'm never going to be a basketball player, pro football player, things like that. But anything that you can do with your mind, I can do with my mind. There's just no question in my mind anymore. So I want to give you an example of some of the conversations that we have in the Iron Council around mindset. Um, a lot of guys join the Iron Council because they're in a difficult place in life, whether it's going through a divorce, just lost a job, your health might be in the shitter. Can I curse on this? Am I in trouble? I hope I can. Oh well.
You can swear. We as men can handle it. I
Oh,
promise you. And
didn't
if
know,
you can't, you're on the wrong call.
didn't know if YouTube was going to throttle us there. Um,
I
so
didn't think about that maybe, but we'll deal with that
I'll
when
hold
we
back.
do.
So look, we all have our troubles in life, and we all have failures in life. And let's be clear here. You have to define these things. A failure is when you have an inability to reach a vision that you have. It's not when you have troubles. If you're still working on the troubles, then you haven't failed. Failure is when that vision is no longer attainable. When your wife says, I want a divorce, and it's over, that marriage has now failed. When you get fired, that job has now failed. There's nothing you can do to make that vision happen. What you have to realize is failure is part of your life cycle. Failure is part of your growth. It's actually where the most growth has occurred in your life in the past. If you ever got a promotion in your job or a raise in your job, that elevated you some, of course. But if you ever got fired from a job, most likely you moved on to another job that was better, or a new career path, or started your own business. So failure is a necessary catalyst to growth, and usually a launching for growth. There's a process to failure, though, that a lot of us don't do. And you see this very commonly in guys that when they get divorced, they spend months or even years depressed from it and they don't move on. I call it finishing your failure. Finishing your failure allows your mindset to move forward in life. There's a process to it. It's almost like a grieving process. The first thing you have to do is recognize that you're failing. If you don't realize that your marriage is bad, your job is bad, you're never going to finish your failure. You're going to keep on suffering. Then you have to accept it and forgive yourself for any part that you may have played in it. And when we do that, we do in the Iron Council what's called an after action review. Ryan talks about it on the podcast all the time. It's in his sovereignty book. The after action review is basically reviewing what happened and what you can do better next time. But we do it with grace. We don't call ourselves, I'll temper it to a jerk for not having done a good job. We just recognize that we didn't do a good job and figure out what we can do better next time. You learn from it. And you learn about others from it too. It's not just about learning about you, it's learning about the other person. You do have to recognize you can't change the other person. You're just changing yourself with it. Then what you need to do is start developing a vision first, a vision forward. And this is the second time I said vision. You're going to hear the word vision a lot tonight, I bet. It's the foundation for everything you do in your growth. You need to have a vision of where you want to go next. And then once you have that vision, you come up with a plan, ergo the battle plan that we use in the Iron Council, and you take the very next step, the very first step, however small it is. The first time you open the classifieds to look for that new job, or sign up for a dating app, or even consider, I'm going to do something, as soon as you take the first action, your mind pivots from the failure to looking forward to that next thing. That's when you finished your failure, is when you got off the couch and you took your first action. So finishing your failure, it's key to moving forward in your life. Again, I just shortened that 40-minute speech into 3 minutes there to give you guys an idea for the kind of things we talk about. And the second point I want to hit on is why we don't finish our failures. And the main reason we do that is because of fear. Fear is something that we all have. As men, it doesn't matter. It's a natural emotion. Uh, Fear, however, has never stopped you from doing anything. Fear is just an emotion. It's not an action. It cannot stop you. It's your choice when you feel the fear of what you're doing. But let me tell you, you're all looking at fear wrong if you're afraid of something and that's the reason you're stopping. If you're driving down the road and you see a sign that says falling rocks, those yellow signs on the side of the road, those are your warning signs. Those are your fears. You're afraid a rock is going to fall on you. When you see that sign, when you feel a fear in your life, what do? You look up, you look around, you maybe slow down. In your life, you do the same thing. You feel a fear about something at work, you start thinking about what can happen at work. You kind of figure out what are the things I got to worry about here. And then if you see that rock in the road, I never have. I don't know if anybody else has, but if there's a giant boulder in the middle of the road, what are you going to do? You're going to alter your course around it. And in life, when you see that giant boulder in your life, you alter your course around it. But you keep going forward towards your vision. When you realize that fear didn't stop you, the boulder would have stopped you. Realize that fear helped you. Fear was good in that instance, and in most instances in your life. We're not talking about the guy with a gun to your head. I'm talking about the regular, normal fears that we all have. When you have a fear that your wife is going to leave you, you can let that fear paralyze you from trying to fix your relationship, or you can use that as a warning sign that, hey, I need to work on my relationship. I need to steer a different course to get the vision of my marriage to where I want it to be. Fear actually becomes really good then. In the business world, fear is the separator between businesses. COVID was a big shower of that in restaurants. Most restaurants, they had that fear. They were shut down because of COVID, but some of them used that fear and they pivoted. They started delivering to hospitals and other things like that that they had never done before. And those businesses went ahead. Fear, I look forward to in my business. I look forward to problems. Fear is a problem. It says that there's a problem ahead. And you guys have all heard it a million times. On the other side of every problem is a reward. The bigger the fear, usually, the bigger the reward. So in the Iron Council, you're going to learn to not just face fears head on, but how to pivot around them, how to grow from them, how to learn to look forward, not to look forward so much. I don't want to over glorify fear, but how to use fear as what it's supposed to be from nature, as a warning sign, not as a stopper in your life. And with that, point number three is to have a winning mindset in your life. Again, everything that you do or somebody else does is just about the mindset that you have when you carry yourself through life. I'm going to leave you with something actionable about winning mindset, especially for any of you who are struggling to have a winning mindset. You probably don't recognize how much you're already winning on your day to day because we become numb to it. We stop recognizing when we're winning at things that we told ourselves that we're going to do. That's really what a winning mindset is integrity. It's living in integrity with yourself. It's doing the things you tell yourself you're going to do. They say keeping promises to yourself, keeping promises to other. If I say I'm going to do it, if I say I need to take out the garbage in my head, it needs to go out. So when you start recognizing how much you're already winning, that's when you're going to start to advance because you're going to have more confidence. You build self-confidence by celebrating the wins that you're having every single day. When you get off this call tonight, here's your actionable that I'm going to leave you with. When you get done with this call, I want you to write down what it is that you want to do tomorrow morning from before waking to going into work. From when you wake up to when you leave the house in the morning, or if you work from home, it's when you sit at your desk, whatever the case may be. Write down everything. I'm talking about brushing your teeth, making your bed, getting dressed, making coffee, every step. Some of you may already have developed morning routines that are more advanced. They may have some meditation in it. They may have exercise in it. Whatever you want to do tomorrow morning, write it down. Get up on the first alarm ring, write it down. Then bring that list to bed with you tonight. When you wake up in the morning, I want you to checklist as you do each thing and say to yourself, here's the key part. Believe me, so many guys in the Iron Council, when they first start off, they scoff at this until they see how other men have grown from it. As you check each thing off, I want you to just say to yourself, good job. I did what I said I was going to do. Each and everything on that list. You're not celebrating that you brushed your teeth. You don't need to celebrate that. What you're celebrating is you kept the promise you made to yourself. When you get done with that list, if you get through even 95% of those things, you're going to have a different mindset than you did this morning when you left for work. You're going to feel good about yourself because you're starting to realize that you're a man that can keep promises that he makes to himself. Where does that go from there? What that does next is now you're willing to make bigger promises to yourself, take on bigger challenges because you start to enjoy that feeling of being somebody who keeps their promise to themselves, builds your integrity, which then in turn builds your identity with yourself. So give that a try tomorrow morning. If you guys are on the Facebook page, report back how that goes. You'll see how powerful such a simple, and again, it seems weird and nerdy, but that's how our minds operate. And why not use that to your own advantage? Guys, I want to tell you, I've been in the IC for 5, 6 years now, 5 years, I think. I joined the Iron Council looking to meet other men to hang out with and to kind of give back what I had learned in life. What I have loved watching here is any man who is stuck with the Iron Council for 9 months and put in the really simple work it takes in the Iron Council, they've grown so much. And the longer they stay in and keep participating and engaging with other men and building these relationships, you grow stronger and stronger. I see people, grow their businesses with extra zeros behind them, go from I'm almost getting divorced to having great relationships or building new relationships, doing things that they never would have done before. This isn't a college course. This isn't a cult. It's kind of a lifestyle shift. It's what it takes a man to have a group of people to help hold you up and make you want to do better. In part because you're seeing all these other guys in the Iron Council doing so much better with their lives, but in part because you're going to learn to feel empowered to do better yourself. And when you realize how much more you're capable of, it's absolutely awesome. I think I used my 10 minutes up, Ryan. So I'm
You
going to
did. You're just shy of 10 minutes, Alan. Good work, brother. Well done. Alan's always prepared and on point. I really appreciate you and what you've shared. I will share one little personal anecdote with regards to something Alan said. He said, "Finish your failure." Alan said something. I can't remember if he said it to me personally or publicly. But Alan, and I'm not even sure if you remember this. A lot of you guys know that I went through a divorce last year, and that was rough. And obviously talked about my struggles with alcohol abuse. Alan said something to the effect, and I'm paraphrasing, that the way that I overcame that was quicker or faster or something than anybody he's ever seen. Alan, do you remember saying something like that? Does that ring a bell to you?
Yeah, it was at the main event. I think I brought up Finish Your Failure specifically because I knew what was going on there. And as you learn that Finish Your Failure process, you finish your failures quicker. I get yelled at by some people because it almost seems like I don't grieve when I have losses in life because I just finish my failure real quickly. I process that loss and I'm like, all right, I learned from this. I'm moving on because I don't want to miss a heartbeat in life. We only get so many. I want everyone to count. So yeah, you used that very well. I look, guys, Ryan went through a divorce. If you didn't know that, and if you don't know it, it's because he did it so quick and transitioned back into a positive growth lifestyle because he's using his mindset to do that.
And look, I want to tell you guys, I don't want to dismiss anything that I went through, and I certainly don't want to dismiss anything that you guys might be dealing with in life. And none of what Alan is saying, as far as finishing your failure, is to be dismissive of it. It's not to say that it isn't hard. It's not to say that you won't deal with hardship as you continue to progress and evolve and grow. But if you can wrap your head around the finish your failure concept, it allows you to take horrible experiences, whether self inflicted like my own, or completely outside of your control, and use it for your benefit. I was talking with somebody just the other day and I said, this is weird. I'm actually grateful at this point. I'm grateful. How can I say that? Almost a little guilty saying that, but it's true. It's the reality. I'm grateful because I'm really, really satisfied and fulfilled with where I am in life. I'm not drinking. I'm building a relationship with my kids. I'm growing the business, and these are some of the things that you're going to learn inside of the Iron Council. And also, the reason I wanted Alan to start is because when you do join the Iron Council, he's one of the first men that you're going to communicate with, him and Jay. Jay, you're on the call. Can you just raise your hand or say hello? There you go. Give the thumbs up. That's Jay right there. Jay and Alan are going to be the first two guys that you communicate with here in the Iron Council. We don't want to throw you into the wolves. I know it's a bit like drinking from a fire hose, not only on this call, but when you join the Iron Council. These two men, Jay and Alan, are very well qualified to help you walk through the first 30 days of your experience here. When we give you new tools, we don't want to say, here's the tool, use it. We want to show you the tool and then how to use it effectively so that you can make sure it's maximum benefit in your life. Okay. So Jay, I know you're not talking necessarily tonight, but appreciate you just as much. Alan, of course, appreciate you. And we'll go ahead and get into, actually, let me say one other thing real quick. If you guys want to know more or are interested in joining us and signing up for the Iron Council, we are open until January 7th. So that's 3 days from now. That's Sunday. We're going to close it down on midnight at Sunday, 11:59, I guess, technically. So if you're interested, you can go to orderofman.com/Iron Council and you can get signed up there. And you're going to hear more from Alan and Jay and the rest of our speakers and so many more. And I'm going to share some of our platform here in a little bit. But for now, what I'd like to do is another person who's willing to challenge me. I guess I'm looking at our speakers tonight, and all of the guys that I've selected are men who are willing to challenge me, push me, hold me accountable. This is something I value just as much as anybody else. I used to just think this guy was an asshole, frankly. And I used to just think that this guy liked to be a contrarian just for the sake of being a contrarian. That isn't the case. This is an individual who thinks differently about things. And isn't that valuable? Like, we want somebody who can see life a little differently than we can. And we also want, some of you guys are already smiling because you know exactly who I'm talking about, but we want somebody who's willing to say the things that need to be said. And if there's nothing else I could say about this man, it would be that he cares and he's willing to say what needs to be said in order for you to achieve growth and progress in your life. Lex, I think you already know I'm talking about you, brother. So, Lex, you've got 10 minutes, man. Let's hear from you, brother.
Oh, that wasn't a bus you ran me over with. That was a tank. What the
You
hell?
deserve it. You
What the
deserve it,
hell?
Lex.
That was beautiful, man. That was beautiful. So I guess I could keep the whole 10 minutes really short and just be an asshole and say, get your shit together. But that's a big part of what we do here. But you sent me a note the other day, and I've been thinking about it since on, let's talk about some of the value of systems and processes, right? So I'll repeat a little bit of what Alan said, but I'm going to come at it at a little bit of a different angle, which you guys will soon learn. If you do join the IC, that's part of the value. You're going to get lots of perspectives and lots of different ways of looking at things. And so regarding systems and processes, I'm going to come at this from a performance perspective. What does it take to perform at your peak? And so a lot of what I'm going to talk about here is going to be related in that manner. And I'm going to start with the end in mind because that's my preference. And the end of that really is the purpose of systems and processes is because they provide you self-accountability, which then provides you the capability to create and cultivate authenticity in your life, which is what actually leads to fulfillment as a man. That's the simple and short version. And we'll probably come back and end with that as well. But that's the real value of systems and processes, and specifically those processes you'll find here in the IC, which I'm going to touch on a few of them and speak to the value of those individually, not necessarily about what they are. As Alan mentioned, you're going to hear this word probably from more people than just me. Vision. Vision is defining who you are, not just who you want to be. And I'll make that make sense here in a minute. A vision of what you want to be, what you want to deliver, what values do you want to bring into the world? How do you want to express what you believe? How do you want to deliver results? That's a vision. You need to do that in order so you can adopt that vision upon writing it and say, that's who I'm going to be. The value of that can be found in a 3-word phrase that describes success. Be, do, have. Be that person in your vision. Do the things that that person in your vision would do to have the things they want to have. That's the order that it goes in. If you just randomly shoot in the dark, guess what you're going to get? Random freaking results. You might feel good about them, you might not. They might be aligned to your values, they might not. Some guys get lucky in life and they walk right into that. Most of us don't. Most of the guys on this call don't. That's why we're here. So creating that vision on purpose allows you to start that process. The other thing that it does for you, it provides you clarity. It provides you focus. And it provides you intrinsic motivation, not external motivation from society or from social media or from what mom and dad told you you should do, or what Lex said you should do, or Ryan said you should do, or Alan or Jay told you should do. It allows you to begin that first step of sovereignty. You define you, and then you go do, and then you get to have the results. Enough about vision. Once you hit a vision, you're going to go after what I call high, hard goals, impossible goals. Challenge yourself. That's something other men in the IC are going to do. Shoot higher, aim higher. The reason that it's important to aim higher and shoot for these big goals towards your vision is because it increases the risk. It increases the risk of failure. An increase of risk actually drives greater focus. The faster you drive, the riskier it is, the more you pay attention. The faster you downhill ski, the more you pay attention because it's riskier. And in the moment that you're willing to do that, you actually step into peak performance and high performance. Because now you're not worried about all the other distractions. You're not worried about Facebook. You're not worried about politics. You're not worried about the asshole at work. You're focused on doing what you need to do. That's why those high hard goals are important. That's then going to get supported. I think, Alan, you mentioned this one too, battle plans, 90-day plans. Break those goals down further, milestones, tasks, get really specific, not just in the AAR, the morning routine, like Alan was saying, but in what in the world am I going to do? How am I going to deliver? What exactly is it going to take for me to deliver a thing? The reason this is so important is because if you take on a challenge that's too big for you and you don't break it down, you're going to quit. You're going to go, oh, it's too hard. I can't do it, Lex. Well, you didn't plan well enough. You didn't go deep enough. You didn't break it down further. If it's too easy for you, you're going to get bored. Then you're going to start drinking. You're going to start doing porn, and I don't know. Maybe you'll drive a Ford Bronco like Alan and Jay do. Yes, I'm teasing them because I'm allowed to do that, right? But you're going to get distracted by other things because you're bored. So when you start thinking about 90-day plans, 12-week battle plans, you have to really consider what I would call the skill to challenge ratio. You set those tasks, milestones just beyond your current skill set. because that will excite you. It will challenge you to do them, but they will be an achievable step along the path towards the impossible. That's the whole point of them. That's why you do it. Now, outside of those processes, and they can be done in lots of different ways, but the way they're done here in the IC is incredibly valuable because they tie you to a battle team. What's the value of a battle team? It's collaboration. It's other people's ideas. It's other people's perspectives. It's people getting to call me an asshole because I push my perspective. It's me and Alan getting to go at it, me and Gatch getting to go at it and disagree, find different ideas, different approaches, maybe walking away from that and coming back with something new. How many times do you have that in your life? I'm willing to bet most guys on this call are missing one of the most important ingredients for success, and that's feedback. And I will tell you, immediate feedback, not feedback tomorrow, next month, next year, 10 years after you failed, 8 years after your wife started cheating on you, or 5 years after you started drinking. Right now is when you need that feedback. Honest feedback from another man to call you on your shit is what we all need. I need it. I have guys here that do it to me. Sometimes I hate them for it for at least 5 minutes. And then 10 minutes later, I'm going, fuck, it's probably right. I got to think about that some more. If you don't have that in your life, you need that collaboration in your life. Yes, be a sovereign man, be a strong, independent man, but you're going to go further when you take that independence and strength and contribute to a group, and that group contributes to you. Special forces operators don't operate by themselves. They operate in teams. They all have their specialties. They all provide value. And that's the value of the collaboration that you're going to get out of being on a battle team. If your battle team doesn't push you that hard, you let me know and I'll get on there and I'll yell at all of them just for fun, because I like to do that. And I've been around long enough, I can get away with it. So all of that said, that's the value of the systems and processes here. That's the value of the battle teams here. Those are all very specific drivers of performance. And I'm willing to bet they're missing from most of your lives. They're missing from mine unless I pay attention to them. That's the real challenge, and that's the opportunity here for everybody that decides to join. And again, the reason, and I'll circle back to this, that we do this is because all of these things allow you to create and cultivate your true self. They allow you to hold yourself accountable to what you've said. They allow others to hold you accountable, and all that accountability and definition is going to make you authentic. And the moment you're authentic, you stop lying to yourself and you start producing, and that, brothers, is the route to actual fulfillment. I'll drop my mic now, Ryan. That's all I got.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you.
You got it.
Hey, one thing I want to say too, guys, is Lex is not only obviously a great member here and been around for a long time and helped me personally. I think I led off with that. He also runs an enhanced experience in the Iron Council called the Viros Group. Lex and I did a podcast. What was it? 3 weeks ago. We did a podcast together. So there's opportunities there for not only the Iron Council experience, but enhanced growth outside of what we create. And again, this is not a movement built around me. This is a movement created around the mission. And I'm part of that. And obviously the guys that you're going to hear from are part of that as well. So guys, one thing I want to tell you too is I'm a straight shooter. I don't mess around with you guys. So if you guys are considering joining the Iron Council and you join us for a month and decide this is not a thing for you, we have that happen. It's the reality of it. In fact, one of the first messages that you'll receive when you join is we're not interested in tire kickers. So if you're here kicking tires and you're here dabbling and maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, but you're going to do the same thing you've always done, just let me know and I'll issue you a refund. I'm not going to hang on to your money. I don't care about that. I'll issue you a refund and you can come in and check it out and say, hey, it's not for me because I'm going to do the same shit I've always done. I'm not here to sell you on it. I'm here to provide an opportunity. And if you guys really want to commit to what we're doing and actually dive in head first, then that's what we want. We don't want tire kickers. We don't want guys dabbling. We don't want guys who are like, maybe you'll see if it's for me and like maybe you can do that. No, we want you all in. And if you really want to change 2024, then do something different. Commit to it and go all in. That might be for a month. That might be for 3 months. It might be for a year. I don't know what it looks like for you, but go all in. And if you're not willing to go all in, don't sign up. Or if you sign up, let me know, because you might realize, maybe this isn't for me, because guys like Lex and Alan and the other guys you're going to hear from are going to call you to task. They are 100%. And as I'm looking through this list of guys that I want to have talk with you tonight, Alan calls me out. Lex calls me out. Wayne has called me out. Kip has called me out. I've actually had to apologize to all of these guys, like literally say I'm sorry, because they call me out. And I recognize the value of that. It's not comfortable. I don't like doing that, but that's the reality of the situation. And the people that I hold in high regard are men of character, men of integrity, and men who are willing to say, even to me, what needs to be said. That's what I value. And if you want to improve in your life, then you're going to need guys in your corner like Lex and Alan and Wayne and Kip and Chris and the other guys here who are going to say what needs to be said. It's not comfortable. If you want comfortable, just sign off right now. We got 115 guys. I can tell if you sign off, you can go ahead and sign off right now and then just go about your business. That's fine. But if you want to do something different, then these are the guys that you need in your corner. Absolutely. And Rob says, in the most loving way possible. I don't know if it's the most loving way possible, but I will say I always know that they care. There's probably a softer way to say it for some of these guys, but I never have questioned their desire for me to succeed and their desire for you guys to succeed. All right. With that said, we're going to turn it over to, again, another good friend, somebody who's been in the Iron Council for a long time, and somebody who, this is cool. Somebody who came into the Iron Council, really added a lot of value, decided that he wasn't just going to take and get from the Iron Council, but that he was going to give. He's been a team leader. He moved into a new role, which is helping facilitate team growth and helping guys who aren't on battle teams get onto battle teams. He started that in the last 2 weeks. Very well known in the Iron Council, very well respected, has great conversations. Again, has sent me messages that I'm like, I don't like some of the messages he sends me, not only because they're long and obnoxious that way, Wayne, you know what I'm talking about, but because they say things that I'm like, I don't want to hear you say that to me. But that's exactly what I need to hear. So I'm really, really grateful for my friend and obviously a strong ally in the Iron Council, and that's Wayne McPherson. Wayne, you're up, brother.
Man, Ryan, thanks for that. I really appreciate it. I learned from Lex, bro. So you can blame him for all. You can blame him.
I do. I blame Lex for everything. So yeah, that's just the default.
Oh man, look, 10 minutes. Let's see if I can set a Wayne McPherson record today. Let me see if I can do this in 5. Lex stole my thunder, anyways, as per usual. Look, I was in the gym today, and I almost didn't complete my workout because Ryan, you can appreciate this. I had JP on one side and Alan on the other side arguing over gym etiquette. And if I told you what these guys were talking about, you'd probably kick me off right now. And this is the time of year that marketing is at its hottest. It doesn't matter if it's business owners. It doesn't matter if it's your fitness, your business, your whatever. If you are a good businessman, this is the time that you market, because everybody is thinking, you know what? It's the first of the year. I can change my life. And I almost signed up for one. It was business. It was marketing. Now, we don't necessarily specifically do marketing on our team, but I had to slap myself and say, why in the world are you going to drop thousands on this business coach when you've got Scott on your team, who owned a business, who had up to 120 employees? When you've got Madison on your team, who, Ryan, if you think I break your balls, bro, I should sick Madison on you, because every single day he is like shotgun fire, making sure that he's getting into guys and asking deep questions and not settling for anything. No BS. And it made me realize, you know what? With all the things that we do here in the IC, we're very unique in the men's movement space because we focus on community more than anything else. And I know I've told you this before. I don't know if you fluked into it, was a genius move or you were psychic at the time, But man, that is our foundational principle here in the IC, is the fact that we have around 60 teams, about a dozen to 15 is the goal for each team, where instead of it just being the Ryan show, we've got a group of individuals that get to know each other, hold each other accountable, and are able to stay movement in each other's lives. So when you guys, not if you guys, and Ryan, I didn't know you were doing that, the money back for a month. Then that means everybody here would be joining, because it would make no sense if they didn't. So when everybody here joins the IC, at least for a month, you'll go through the gauntlet of Jay and Alan. I'll call it that. They'll take care of you. I'm just kind of joking. But then after that, you have the ability to join teams. And like I said, there's about 60 of them. Now, there are different teams, obviously, if there's 60 within the IC. Some do focus on finance. I joined the IC for finance. I joined the IC because I wanted to improve my business. You will have others that are going to focus on, sorry, I think I just lost my camera. This is a 360, so if it will move on me. Some will focus on fitness. We know, especially this time of year, we know that that's what a lot of guys come to the IC for. They know they want to get in shape. Regardless of why you come in, when you are here, you're going to realize that, perfect example like me, I joined for business. I thought I was a great father until I got around Lex. And then it's like, yeah, your kids might love you, but you tugboat the shit out of your kids, and you need to lead more like a lighthouse, especially as they're getting older, because you want to make sure that they can provide and take care of themselves. Now, we know that, but when you see another man model it, it opens your eyes even more. From a health perspective, again, I joined for business. From a health perspective, I've never been in this shape in my life. The reason why I went to the gym today and I went the day before is because I've got guys on my team that would say, bro, you said that you were going to get after it and you're going to be in the gym every day. So it's only 3-4 days in. How can I go to the gym? I could have said, I'm busy. I've got to prepare for this. I've got to do this. No. So I was in the gym because I had other men on my team that I knew would kick my ass if I didn't go. And who benefits from that? I do. So there are 4 quadrants that we look to here. The first one's calibration, and I'm going to wrap up on this. First one's calibration, and Alan touched on this, where it comes to mindset. For me, that's for my calibration. It's morning mastery for me for this quarter, and I want to make sure that my morning routine is down and it moves from tactics to it's a habit that I'm always doing it. Right. So you calibrate. You calibrate your life. You calibrate your month. You calibrate your day. The next one is connection. How are you when it comes to your relationships? Now, I don't play around with my men. If they say that they have an objective and a tactic for, let's say, to get to know more guys in the IC, that's awesome. The first thing I'm going to ask is, how's your marriage? What's going on at home? Can't hide. You can't hide. There are guys listening right now that are making a lot of money and killing it. Awesome. I would say to you, cool. How's your marriage? There are guys that have great marriages, but they're living paycheck to paycheck. And so another quadrant we have is contribution. And I will ask, okay, cool. Glad that you're in love. Glad that you're in the honeymoon states. That's awesome. Where are we at when it comes to your finances and your income? Now, I don't play around, because I know that that's why men join the IC. And it's not just an IC thing, guys. This is something, especially for 2024, that I think is really going to be more on the forefront. I don't think it's a coincidence, guys, that you have a society. We live in a society now where it's men against women, where it's parents against their kids, where it's blacks against whites, whites against Latinos, fill in the blank. Everything in our system and in our society now is pitting against each other. And what does that do? It destroys community. And it's community that built, Canadian, our countries. It was the strength of people being able to network and work together that was the strength in the foundation. And now that's pulled apart. I think for 2024, you're really going to start to see men, and it's been happening for the past couple of years, but you're really going to start to see men who are opening their eyes and realize, I cannot do this on my own. I'm going to let you know a little secret. You are not designed to do this on your own. For those that are Christian, God made you so that you would be connected to another person, and the two of you would go out and conquer the world. For those that aren't Christian, just human nature in science and common sense will tell you that this is the first time in the history of mankind that we have been able to survive on our own. Before, you needed your neighbors. There's no way you would have been able to survive. So I will leave off with this. When you guys join the IC and you come in, there will be a team that you will join. They will select you. You will select them, and you will notice that even though you joined for one reason, all of the areas in your life will improve. I know that's what happened to me, and that's what happened to most of my men. Back to you, Ryan.
Awesome. Thanks, brother. Appreciate you as always. Phenomenal job. Guys, I mean, look, a lot of this is lip service at this point because you're not in the Iron Council. You'll see. Like, Wayne's a guy that people reach out to. Wayne and I had a conversation earlier in the week, and he's like, oh, yeah, I've already talked to that guy. Oh, yeah, I've already talked to this guy. Oh, yeah, we already had a conversation. Oh, yeah, that guy I know. Yeah. I'm like, shit, like, what am I here for? Because he's doing the work, he's involved, and man, I really appreciate Wayne, and you guys will too if you end up banding with us. Okay, thanks, Wayne, appreciate it, guys. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna turn the time over to our last presenter today, and then from there I'm gonna just give you a little bit of a preview of what our platform looks like, and I'm gonna open it up to questions. If you guys do have questions in the meantime, you can feel free to drop those in the chat. We've got lots of Iron Council members on the call right now who are seasoned members, know exactly what we're doing here in the Iron Council, and they'll be able to answer those questions in the chat as well. So don't be afraid to drop your question in the chat. And like, I see Gatch and I see Peter Morrison. I see a bunch of guys here who aren't necessarily speaking with us tonight, but these guys are veterans. They've been here forever. Jay is one of them. They've been here a long time, and they'll be able to answer questions for you there as well. Okay, so drop those in the chat. And then Alan sent me a direct message. He said also in the YouTube channel, because this is being live streamed on YouTube as well. So if you're over on YouTube, you can drop those in the comments. I don't know that I'll be able to answer those real time, but I'll get on those as quickly as I possibly can if you are watching on YouTube. Okay. All right. So our next speaker is a guy that I think probably, if you've listened to the podcast, are all familiar with, for better or worse. You're all familiar with him, and I see a lot of things the same as far as the end result. But I think what makes our relationship powerful is that the way that we get there isn't always the same. This is a man who I think generally is a little bit, I should say, a lot more thoughtful, more empathetic, is willing to look at the gray areas of things that I'm not. And so that's good for me because I tend to be a black and white person. And if we can find people who complement us, who believe in us, who support us, who believe in where we're going, who are going in the same direction, but they think there's a different route, a better route to do it, that's a valuable resource for you. And that's what this person has become, not only from a personal and friendship level, but also just from an advocate for what we're doing here, a believer, a true believer in what we're doing. And so, Kip, I love you, brother. I appreciate you. And man, our talks we get to talk every week, and it's broadcast. You know, it's like two friends talking, but it's broadcast, again, for better or worse, right? But I really, really appreciate our relationship and your insight and the way that you see things, because it helps me see things in a way that I don't always see myself. So you're up, Kip.
Thank you, brother. Good mic check. It feels like I can't talk to you without us checking sound really quick to see if we're okay.
Yeah.
Good.
You're good. You sound clean, man.
All right, good. So Ryan asked me to talk about culture and what does the Iron Council culture look like? And I think one of the most effective ways for us to kind of set you guys up and kind of give you insights of what that looks like is to first talk about what it is not. And what it is not is what we get in the world today that celebrates mediocrity. There's a psychological term, and the guys in the leadership program, you guys have heard me talk about this, and you guys can Google this. It's called the drama triangle. And what the drama triangle it is we will perpetuate someone in a victimhood mindset as long as the relationship that they see with other individuals is from the perspective of persecutor and rescuer. Think about that. Think about the people in our lives. Even think about our own natural human tendencies to say, well, my job would be better if my boss showed up differently. It would be better. My life, my marriage would be better if my wife would only X. So much that we even give it over to political parties. People believe that if a certain president is elected, their life will be hell. Why? Because they're a victim of their persecutors. And they seek their rescuers, their saviors in political groups, their saviors with maybe, hey, I don't even have to get my shit together. I'll just join the Iron Council and they'll save me. And the answer is always somewhere else but within themselves. This is how the world works. And it does this, and great tie-ins with what Lex was saying earlier and what Alan was saying earlier. We do this. Why? Because we don't want to face the music. That the world that you're living in, and I'm being abrasive, of course, your shitty marriage, your pathetic job, your broken relationship with your parents, your broken relationship or mediocre relationship with your kids, we don't want to face the fact that it is our creation. So we would much rather push the blame and be a victim that it's someone else that did it to us. Most people that have a disempowered life, they're still holding on to mom and dad were shitty parents, and this is how I am. That's the world we live in by default. It is a victim mindset, and it gives us a pass, so we take zero responsibility. But based upon what Alan was talking about earlier, what Lex is talking about, what Wayne, there is zero growth in that space. Sure, you could be acted upon, and you may not take responsibility for your life, and you can place the blame, but it's a life of regret. It's a life of disempowerment, and it's not a life of growth. So the opposite is what we've tried to create and what we foster within the Iron Council. And it is a culture of self-directed. You can join us and fail. Absolutely. Because we're not about coercion. We're not about micromanagement and causing action and empowerment in your life due to belittlement, shame, or some other form of command and control. We will, however, challenge you. We will coach. We will stand and we will support. But the expectations within the Iron Council is that you are fully committed and engaged while you're part of us. And to be frank, and I'm glad Ryan said this earlier, because a little bit of me was like, maybe I shouldn't say that. We don't want you if you're not all in. Because you're wasting my time, you're wasting Wayne's time, and you're wasting Lex's time. And I would even argue, just to challenge, you're wasting your family's time if you're not fully committed and engaged in whatever it is that you're about. And that is the empowerment triangle. That is how we show up powerfully. And so through the systems that Wayne is talking about, it creates opportunity for what? For us to honor our word, to have an outward expression of what I'm committed to Wayne, to my team, how I'm going to show up in the world, and I hold myself accountable. And when I get blocked, I have men that aren't around me to belittle and shame me, but are around me because they care. And their willingness to speak into me and call me up to a greater way of being. But it's only through agency and choice that is made possible. And by the way, that is the only way you're going to grow. That is the only way that we have authenticity and integrity in the life, is through freedom and agency and being self-directed. So we honor that gift of freedom and agency, and we support it by showing up as a challenger and creating challenges, and ultimately coaching and standing for one another. A couple additional things I want to call out. So as you go, man, the Kip's pretty crazy. You know what? There's a t-shirt we have called Being Unreasonable. You need to be unreasonable. Yeah, there you go. Ryan's representing. We need to be unreasonable because the world is not going to be the reason. How's this? The world is going to buy into your reasons and give you passes, and they're not going to expect anything great of you, but we will. And so what does it mean to be fully committed and engaged? Here's the expectations. Here's the list of expectations if you join us in the Iron Council. Number one, you take ownership. You don't like your world. You don't like what is happening in your world. You need to identify your role and take responsibility for it and take necessary action to pivot. Two, you need to take initiative and be assertive. We're not passive in this world. We don't expect you to be passive within the Iron Council. We expect you to be fully committed. I remember I ran a team years ago. Hey, by the way, Battle Team Echo represent t-shirt right there.
I saw that. That's an original shirt right there.
Dude, this, by the way, props to Echo, by the way. This was the first logo before teams ever did logos. I'm just saying. Okay,
that was the first team logo. Is that what you're claiming right now? I'm gonna verify that.
We did 0 team logos until this got formed.
Okay. That's awesome.
That's how long I've been around, forever. So no, and yeah, so I remember, and let me give you an example of what it looks like to being committed. We strive. We can all say we strive for things, right? But when we strive, it's based upon if variables line up. But when we're committed to something, we find a way. And I remember I had a team on Echo and I had a new member and I said, here's the commitment, men. You are on this call no matter what every single week. Will you give me your word that you will be on this call? And I had one guy go, well, Kip, I mean, I can't, things might come up. I mean, what if my life? And I'm like, are you going to commit? I'm not asking for perfection. I'm asking for your commitment. And it's funny how if we go into life without commitment, it's flippant. It's if everything aligns, then I'll do it. And when we show up in a very powerful way, we find a way. Now, are we going to make mistakes? Are the men in the Iron Council perfect and amazing and never fail? Absolutely not. We don't expect for perfection, but we expect commitment. And commitment means that when I get out of alignment, when I'm out of integrity or I lack authenticity, I own it. I get back on the path and I execute. And I execute why? Not just for me, but I execute for the men on my team. I execute for the Iron Council and the mission of what it is to be part of Order of Man. That is what we're about. There's my spill and we're running out of time. You got 3 minutes.
That's on me. You stayed within 10 minutes, Kip. I appreciate it, man. Somebody said who gave Kip caffeine. I'm just wondering if he just got done with jujitsu or something. I don't know if it's caffeine, but Kip's fired up tonight, man. I like it.
There's a little rash guard underneath my shirt. I'm training right after this. So yeah.
Like rip, if it wasn't the Echo shirt, he would just rip that off and just go straight to jujitsu in his rash guard. So, and he will destroy just about all of you, just so you know.
It's because I care. But it is, right? Like in the grand scheme of things, what we're doing is important. This isn't some bullshit goal-setting group. It's much bigger than that. Sorry.
I appreciate you, brother. No, it's all good. Hey, so one thing I'm going to reiterate, guys, is if you were to join another call like this, who's giving you a preview of what you might have access to, you're going to hear from, look, I could blab at you for an hour. That's not a problem. I'm never at a loss for words. I've always got something to say. I've got an opinion about everything. Obviously, if you listen to the podcast, you know that. I could blab at you guys for an hour. That's not what we're doing here. This is not about me. It's about bringing guys like Wayne and Kip and Alan and Lex and everybody else who's here as part of the Iron Council. These guys have valuable insight, and what I lack, these guys excel at. What they might lack, I might excel at. And it's about getting all sorts of different perspectives. You often hear about the DEI agenda, right? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. The difference is that we base that on performance, not immutable characteristics like gender or race or melanin in the skin. We base that on experience. Lex comes with an experience that I don't have. Kip, Wayne, Alan, Chris, like all the guys here come with an experience I don't have. They're not immutable characteristics. They're things that they've developed over a lifetime of learning skills that I don't have access to. And that's what makes it so great, is that it isn't just about what I can provide. It's what 1,200 guys can provide to you, and then what specifically you're looking for. So let me just share with you really briefly. I'm actually just going to share my screen. I know we're over on time. If you guys have to bail, I get it. We're going to work on either lengthening this call or tightening it up. We're going to figure something out, because I want to make sure we get this thing dialed in. This is only the second time we've done this, so we're figuring things out as we go as well. But I want to share my screen with you real quick here, and let you guys get a little bit of a behind the curtain look. I need an audible. Yes, I can see your screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
An audible. Yes. Okay, cool. Awesome. Thanks, guys. So this is the platform we use. This is what we call the Foundry. And I'm not going to get into too much detail on this because there's a lot here. And for the sake of brevity and time, when you join, obviously this is the home channel. You can see that right here. But this is where a lot of guys are having conversations on just about any topic and more that you heard about tonight. But the other thing that we have access to is we have access to channels. So to give you a little bit of a peek, faith, homeschool, divorce, health and fitness, finance, marriage, battle planning, martial arts, fatherhood, breaking pornography addiction, technology, real estate investing, sobriety. And we've got, 3 dozen other channels that are taking place. And if we were just to pull up one of these, I'm hesitant to do this. Maybe I won't do it in that channel because there might be some sensitive conversations there. Let's just go to faith, for example. Stand by while this loads. You can see that these guys are having conversations. 35 minutes ago, Rob made a conversation. A couple hours ago, Josh brought up something. An hour ago, Rob brought up something. These are conversations, 9 comments, people having conversations about things that are important to them. And you're able to join whatever channels are important to you so you can customize and cater your experience to what it is you're after. Kip, did you have something to add?
No, I'm not muted, and I was talking to my son. Sorry.
You better mute yourself then. Thank you, brother. All right. Next is we have monthly topics, and we can go back, I think, several years at this point. You can see I'm continuing to scroll. What is this? February of 2019. So 5 years ago at this point, which is wild to think about. The wealth equation is something that we talked about. You're going to have access to all of these monthly topics. For the month of January, we're talking about the concept of shooting for the moon, which is obviously very timely based on everybody planning out their year for January. And then we have a book of the month, which is called Moonshot. In fact, I have that book. I don't know if you guys can see me, but I have that book held up right now by former podcast guest and NASA astronaut Mike Massimino. And then you're also going to have access to regional chapters. Those are going to be obviously chapters in your specific area. So here's Southern California, which is very, very active channel. Northern Utah is a very active channel. North Texas, South Texas, et cetera, et cetera. I won't get into that. But you'll be able to meet guys in your area who are getting together, whether they're doing Spartan races or community service or just, grabbing a coffee or whatever it might be. One of the most important things, guys, in this, there's some courses available. Again, for the sake of brevity, I won't get into that. But one of the most important things here, I'm going to scroll up to the top, is this one right here. This is where your membership counts right here, is battle teams. And somebody asked a question about when do battle teams meet? We have over 60 battle teams, over 60 battle teams that all meet throughout the week at various times, at various days. So regardless of what your schedule might look like, there are multiple teams that are meeting at a day that would be convenient for a time that would work for you. And if we click on these battle teams, you can see that these are all of our teams right here. These are led by qualified men. These are men who have proven themselves in the Iron Council. These are guys who are not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but they're on the path and they've showed a capacity for leading and inspiring other men. And you'll be able to band with these guys, to be held accountable, to work through your battle plans, to bounce ideas off of. And this is really, as Wayne said in his time that he had allotted, really where the rubber meets the road and where a lot of your value from the Iron Council comes from is once you join a team. Now, you won't be eligible. We've done this in the past, and we've done it in a very sloppy way where we've said, hey, just come in the Iron Council, figure it out. And for some of you, you might be able to do that. And for a lot of you, you need some direction, not hand holding. Wayne, we've talked about this, right? We're not here to hold your hand. We're not here to rub your balls and make you feel good about your decisions. What we're here to do is give you a path to run on and grease the grooves. But I can't, to Kip's point, like drag your ass along the program. All we can do is put every option and every opportunity out there and help you navigate through it. But ultimately, it's up to you. And we have those systems in place. So we don't throw you to the wolves when you join the Iron Council and say, find a team. No, you're going to work with Alan. You're going to work closely with Jay. They're going to help you for about 30 days, maybe less if you're somebody who takes initiative. You can race your way through that, and we like to see that for sure. I would be one of those guys. I'm not going to wait 30 days. I'm going to get it done in 3 days. What everybody else takes 30 days to do, I'm going to get done in 3. That's up to you. I'd love to see more people do that, and we have the opportunity to do that. But we're not going to throw you to the wolves. We're going to give you all the information that you need to be able to take this in digestible quantities. Okay. Any questions that you guys have of me? Go ahead and raise your hand right now, real quick, if you have some questions that I can answer for you. And we'll stick around for another maybe 5 or 10 minutes and get those questions answered for you. But that's a preview of what the Iron Council is. And by the way, when you hear these guys speak, we meet. So you'll have your opportunity to join your battle team, which meets once a week throughout the week, and then you have your own team channel. But we also do a council-wide Friday call. So tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock Eastern, we meet council-wide. And you're going to have a lot of conversations like you heard today on that Friday call, but it's going to be catered towards a specific subject. So tomorrow, we're talking about battle planning. Obviously, we're at the beginning of the year. Guys are thinking about what they want to accomplish in the next quarter. And we're going to fine tune and help and answer questions regarding battle planning. But every single week is specific to a particular topic. So they're directed conversations. I don't need friends. You guys don't need friends. I don't want to shoot the shit with you. I want to have deep, meaningful conversations that drive me towards action and results. And that's what we do in the Iron Council. So do you guys have any questions as we kind of wind things down? Please ask those questions, raise your hand in the system, or drop them in the comments and we'll get to it. Can somebody, Alan, if you would, please, can you just drop the link for registering for the Iron Council while I'm looking through some of these comments? Jonathan, how about you, brother? Oh, sorry. I thought he had raised his hand. He's just asking for permission to join the call. So just joining us a little bit late. Any questions? Okay. If you do, please feel free to reach out to me. You guys can email me. My email address is ryan@orderofman.com. Please feel free to email me with any questions that you have. We made posts on Instagram, in the Facebook group, on my Facebook page, and on YouTube. If you have specific questions, I can answer them there, and we'll get those answered for you. Okay.
There's a lot of questions below, though, Ryan. There's a lot of questions.
Where are they? I don't see them.
One is asking you, is there any assignments what's an example of an assignment that they'll give you in the Iron Council?
Cool. Where do you see that? Just so, because I hope I'm not missing something. I don't see where that is.
I'm just looking in the overall chat.
Oh, in the chat. Okay, cool. I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. Let me share my screen again real quick so you guys can see that. Let's see here. All right, here we go.
Another person was asking if the fee for joining the Iron Council, they understand that you have like a lot of books that they have to read. Is that included in the price, or that's what they're asking too about the books?
Okay, I'll answer that here in a second. Thanks for bringing that to my attention, brother. I didn't see those, so I appreciate you bringing that up. The first question was assignments. So let's just go to the monthly topic for January, shoot for the moon. You guys can all see my screen? Yes? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we see you.
Affirmative. Cool. So here's the monthly assignment, January 2024, shoot for the moon. We'll go ahead and pull this up. And you can see we have Rick Donovan does a tremendous job. He's very well researched. He reads the book ahead of time. He goes through with a fine tooth comb and comes up with an assignment. So this is what an assignment would look like. So shoot for the moon. And then you can see we have this broken down week by week and specifically what we're talking about. Now, every month we'll have team challenges. We'll have the book of the month. We'll have other resources, whether it's additional podcasts or outside books that would be valuable as a ancillary to what we're doing. You can see 3 podcasts here, including previous monthly topics. So we're going back, in this case, Achieving the Impossible, which was roughly 3 years ago. So there's additional resources here. I mean, this is robust. This is deep. And then what we do from here is week 1, what's your dream? So I'm not going to go through this. This would be like me reading a PowerPoint to you. I refuse to do that. You guys can read as well as I can, if not better. So you can read it yourself. These are questions that are designed to elicit thought. So you can start thinking about, in this case, what is my dream? And how does this fall into the bigger picture of my life? What in the past has been holding me back? And then what happens on the team calls is they're talking about these questions, which is just fuel for the fire, and really diving deep into what these questions are and what your answers are so that we can help you move forward in any potential roadblocks, what's holding you back, or thinking about and projecting what your life might look like in the future, which is vision, which I believe Alan referenced quite a bit in his allotted time. So we have that for every single week. You can see here's week 2, week 3, and so on. So that's what a monthly topic would look like, or an assignment rather. What was the other question that you brought up, brother? I can't remember what that other question was.
Someone was asking if, included in the $97 a month, they wanted to know, is there an additional cost to the books that you put them onto the assignments, or is that included in the IC?
That's separate. So the books aren't a requirement. It's the monthly topics are designed to be a standalone conversation and conversations that you're having on your team. So if you're buying books, other resources, a lot of what we offer is free because it's already in the Iron Council, including courses that you'll have access to from experts. We have a Saving Your Marriage course. We have a Breaking Pornography course. Johnny Loretti, who's a fitness coach and nutritionist, just put together a really in-depth course, almost a master class, if you will, on nutrition specifically. So I'm uploading that one as we speak. But if you want to buy a book, and that's once a month, that would be on you. That's in addition to your membership. Anything else, guys? Trevor, then Marcus.
Hey, Ryan, I just wanted to see, when are you guys going to get the Masculinity Manifesto back in stock?
It was a little muffly. The Masculinity Manifesto back in stock?
Yes, sir.
Is it not on Amazon right now?
I don't know. I hadn't checked it. I was just checking your guys' website, and I'd like to buy it directly from you.
Got it. If you want it quick, head to Amazon. But I'll go ahead. I appreciate you, Trevor, bringing that up. I'll go ahead and place an order with them directly and get some copies so that they can be signed copies as well. We have paperback sovereignty copies, but we did run out of the Masculinity Manifesto. So I'll work on that. Thanks, Trevor.
Okay. Yeah, because I picked up the sovereignty. I just joined end of December, so I just wanted to kind of get on track with everything, and so I got sovereignty, and then I was looking to get the Masculinity Manifesto.
Awesome. Yeah. Cool. I appreciate it, brother. I'm glad you're with us. You just joined, so I'm glad you're here. Lucas said, is the weekly team call on tomorrow morning? Yes. Oh, Gatch already answered that. Yeah. So it's at 9 a.m. Eastern time. So when you join, you'll get the link to that if you're interested. Marcus, what do you have for us?
Mark Connolly asked in the chat, he joined late, was asking if there would be a replay available on any platforms.
Replay of this particular call? Is that what he's asking?
Correct. It looks like he joined late.
Yeah, I'll post it up on Facebook in the group. That's where the replay will be. It's also going to be on YouTube. So youtube.com/Order of Man and facebook.com/groups/Order of Man. The replay will be available on both of those platforms. Thanks, Marcus. Maliki, what do you got for us, man?
Yeah, I just wanted to say to the guys that are considering this, I've followed Ryan for years. I've read both of his books. I've listened to hours of his podcast, probably like you've done as well for months or years or whatever. Uh, I was intimidated by actually holding myself to account. And so I watched Ryan and the podcast and all of his guests from the outside and said, "Oh man, that's really great. That's really great." But really, when you watch his podcast, you're not really doing anything with your life. So I really wanted to encourage people that are, man, what should I do? Should I really do it? It might be a little bit intimidating. You got to pull the trigger and just get in. You're not going to improve by just watching his podcast every single day. This is for you. And when you get inside, there's a plethora of men that are ready to aid you and to help you in any way possible. So I really want to encourage people to just pull the trigger, man. Go for a month at least.
Yeah, brother. I appreciate you bringing that up. And that, look, I'll liken it to something else. I remember years ago, almost a decade now, I was about 50 pounds overweight and I knew it was getting bad and I was not showing up fully for my kids. And I went to a parade. I can't remember if it was a 4th of July parade or something like that. And the local CrossFit gym had just opened up and they were trying to drum up some new business. And so they had a little float and they had people handing out flyers and they handed me a flyer. And I remember looking at it and I'm like, oh man, I know I need to do this. I know I need to do this. Like this little voice in my head was like, go do this, go do this. And then the other voice in my head was like, oh no, you're going to embarrass yourself and you're going to feel foolish and you're going to look stupid and you're going to feel dumb. And I went and I have this picture on my phone. I wish I could pull it up for the sake of time. I won't dig through all my photos, but I have this picture. It was the very first day I went to this CrossFit gym and I was 50 pounds, probably at this point, 60 pounds heavier than I am today. And I looked like a slob. I looked totally awkward, totally uncomfortable, very insecure. Like it's a brutal, brutal picture. And it's one snapshot of the way I looked. And I remember how I felt when I went there. I felt embarrassed and I didn't want anybody to see me. And I felt like this was dumb and I'll never understand how to do all this stuff. And I'll never be what I would like to be. But I kept going. I signed up. I went on day 1 and then I went on day 2 and I went on day 3 and I wasn't 100%, but I was about 80% attendance for years and years. And that's what it takes, guys. It's like going to jujitsu. Yeah, you're going to get beat up. You're going to get banged up. It's going to feel uncomfortable. But if you want improvement in your life, then this is the cost. This is the price that you have to pay. It's discomfort. It's feeling overwhelmed. It's not entirely secure or sure of yourself and what you're doing. That's the cost. And when you hear a guy on my podcast like Jocko Willink or Andy Frisella or David Goggins or Tim Tebow or Tim Kennedy, who are ultra successful, it's not that they're free of adversity or free from trial and heartache and heartbreak and frustration. It's that they went. They did it. And then on day 2, they went back. And day 3, they went back. And they made a commitment to excellence. Not that they were excellent, not even that they would say they're excellent today, but they're on the path of excellence by doing that. So I appreciate you bringing that up, man. I really do. Somebody just had their hand up. Gosh, I'm sorry. Was it Greg? Was it Greg? I think is that right? Greg, what do you got for us, man?
Hey, you may have answered this. I was just curious because I'm in Canada. What would that be a month Canadian, or do you know?
I don't know. You can run that through an exchange, thing on Google or whatever. I don't know what that is right offhand. Yeah, okay. Maybe one of our Canadian brothers can tell us, but I don't know what that is offhand.
Okay. It was $97 a month?
97 a month. Yep, that's right.
Okay. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, Wayne, where are you at, brother? Come on now. What is that Canadian? We actually do. I was having a conversation with somebody today. We actually have a lot of Canadian brothers, man, and we love our brothers to the north. So we have a good representation of Canadians here, and we are every single one of them. As much as it pains me to admit, every single one of them is a solid member of the Iron Council. So we're glad to have our brothers to the north. Joel, what do you have for us?
Unmute. Is it working?
Yeah, now we got you. I was
Okay,
just gonna
right
say,
on. Hey,
Mitch said
fellas.
Canadians $12,000 is the answer. So thanks, Mitch. I
Holy,
appreciate you running that
as
through.
the collapse has happened already, hey?
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm Canadian as well. So it's cool that kicked in like that. But what I'm wondering is like I love your content. I love what you guys are doing. It's absolutely incredible. And the online thing, I mean, now that we got video, it's like sitting in the room with the guy. But I'm wondering, is there a like what's the next step for the Iron Council? Is it actually like you do stuff in the real world through the men that you impact, right? But is there a plan to do something in the physical, like set up like clubhouses or anything like that, like more? I don't know, use the resources in the pool, because eventually what you're doing is going to grow to the point where it's so big and there's so much wealth of knowledge and prosperity going on. It's like, is there a plan for that prosperity going into a different way? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you bringing that up. One thing that we've talked about is chapters, regional chapters. We've talked about that for years. So that's something I plan on investing a little bit more time and energy to in 2024. I don't know if Joel, you were on when I showed you guys the platform that we use where we have the regional chapters. Did you see that?
Yeah, I didn't see any. I didn't see any BC, British Columbia. I just saw a bunch of American states. That's all I saw.
Yeah, we'll have to look at that. And you know what? Like, if you're the guy, so Wayne, do you want to speak to that real quick?
No, actually, I suck at the regional, bro. I got called out by two guys in the past month, and it's something that I got to do a lot more because I do have some guys around here in Toronto. I do. I got to get better at it. I was doing this because I want to raise my screen. It's ignore me. It's camera thing.
Okay, cool. Oh, you weren't raising your hand. You were messing with your camera. Okay. That's funny. Anyways, yeah. So I see regional chapters being a bigger part of what we're doing for sure. That's going to be something that we bring online. And then, I also used to think like we're trying to create pathways for leadership. I used to think that people would quote unquote graduate out of the Iron Council. And certainly we have guys who get busy with their own thing or, get busy with other ventures or whatever it may be. But I've started to change the way that I look at that. And I would never, for example, graduate out of exercising. Right. Like it's just something I would never do. Like I've reached the pinnacle of my health, so I'm no longer going to exercise. You know what I mean? Like what I see is this is an integral part of a man's life. It's an investment into his daily performance. And that's not to say that we need to remain stagnant or to continue to do the same thing, but we are always looking for somebody to or a way to elevate a guy's experience through pathways to leadership, through regional channels and chapters. Mitch, I don't know if Mitch is still on the call. He's putting together in Minnesota a cowboy camp in May. So there's opportunities where guys are going to be able to get together locally and regionally and be able to interact face to face, shoulder to shoulder, which is something I think we're going to invest in heavily in 2024. All right, let's go to John. Oh, Mitch has got his hand up, and then Frank. And then, guys, we'll probably wrap up from there. And then I can take your questions offline in on social media or at ryan@orderaman.com. So go ahead, John. What do you got for us?
I just wanted to share a small testimony that might be a little unique. I first joined the IC back in 2019 and loved it. And as 6 months in, I'm like, you know what? I can do this on my own. I don't need to pay the money. I can read a book a month. I have groups of online friends, and we can do this on my own. And so I dropped the IC. 3 years later, I realized I was of the three values: protect, provide, and preside. I was failing in all three of them with my family. It's the fattest I've ever been, out of shape, didn't have those connections, financially was dropping. And I realized that having a bunch of online friends that I think I can go to isn't the same as having a dedicated group of a battle team that you're working together with, that is intentional, that they want to level up and they're as committed as you are. And that makes it a whole different thing. So I rejoined last January, and I am so glad I did. I am definitely more focused on my vision now. I wish I wouldn't have left the first time.
Awesome, brother. Well, we're glad you're back. I mean, obviously you're an EXO, so you're a contributing member of what we're doing and on your team. You're an integral part of your team. So we're glad we actually have that happen a lot. Guys leave. And look, when guys leave, I wish them the best. I tell it, hey, whatever I can do to help you. It's not like, see ya, don't ever come back. I hate you. And you're going to get that a lot in some circles. But for us, like, I actually really want you to succeed. And if that means you go out and do it on your own because you take the tools and implement them to whatever degree you can and it works for you, by all means, like, I'm happy to hear that. And if at some point you decide to rejoin us later, which does happen quite frequently, guys leave, they get busy or think they got it all figured out, and they end up coming back. And man, we welcome you with open arms. It's never like, oh no, you left, so you could never come back. We're not ego driven here. We believe in the mission. And if you leave for a time for whatever reason and decide that you want to come back, then again, it's the mission first, always the mission first. Mitch and Frank, who I very easily, just so you guys know, could have had these guys talk for 10 minutes as well. It's hard to decide who's going to speak because we have so many great men in the Iron Council. Like I said, very easily could have had both of these guys talk and would have added tremendous value to our conversation today. Mitch?
Yeah, just so you guys are aware, I have my wife over here and she's giving me shit because she heard, Ryan give me a little kudos. So that was pretty funny. She's over there laughing now because I'm bringing it up.
I can put you down too if she'd like me to do that to bring you back down to reality. If that would help.
Yeah, we can record that at a later date. Give her a couple of to hit. Just that'd be fun. What I wanted to bring up was on the personal meetup side of things. Ryan, you mentioned my cowboy camp. That's not what I'm here to talk about. What I am here to talk about is I've had over the course of time of being a BTL. I had a couple of guys actually leave the Iron Council because they said basically this exact thing. There's not enough in-person communication. And I can understand why you might feel that way, but 100% of that is on that individual. There's guys in your area within a couple hours, maybe, or closer. I've got 5 or 6 in the last year that have joined that are within an hour of me. You can make this shit happen. But you got to be willing to drive a little bit. Like my best buddy in the whole world lives farther away than 3 guys in the Iron Council, and I'll see him. So you just got to decide for yourself what it's worth. And if you want to pay a little bit more money, then you can go do some cool stuff like come and ride bulls at my house or go to Ryan's place and throw axes at shit. There's stuff like that to do too. So either go be part of something or make something happen. Both are options.
Yours sounds cool. Ride bulls or throw axes. I'm going to yours. Like, forget about my event. I'm going to your event, man.
Let's ride bulls while throwing axes. How about that?
There you go. Now we're talking. Mitch, we need to combine forces, brother.
I got to have Frank. We can make it happen.
What do you got for us, Frank? And then we'll close it out, guys.
Yeah, just to, there was a lot of comments in the chat about finding what value there was here. Stop looking at yourself for a moment and seeing what you're going to get out of this. It's the people you're responsible for. I've been here next Wednesday will be my 6-year anniversary in the Iron Council, and you will have highs and lows. Guys will leave and come back. Each time I've thought about leaving over the last 6 years, my wife has said, "What are you going to replace this with?" And it's the value that I provide to my family that she recognizes after the last 6 years here. For 17 years before that, my previous marriage, I worked on myself. The growth in the 6 years I've been here, nothing comparable to that time. So what are you going to get out of this? A wife that's going to be much happier, kids that are going to be much more taken care of because Lex will yell at you if you're an ass to them. Sometimes you need to be an ass, but the value is the experience that the men on your battle team have that you can bounce things off of, that you can bring home and provide, protect, provide, and preside, to be honest. So that's all I have.
Frank, I'm really glad you said that. And I'm glad to see you here. Even if you do look like a homeless bum, in retirement, I know I give you a hard time. You deserve it though. You deserve the hard time. You deserve the beard and the lifestyle for what you've done over your career as a firefighter in California.
Yeah. 8 more months of growing it. It's 1 year, no hair cutting. So yeah, it's 8 more months to go.
All right. Well, you will be unrecognizable. But look, I'm gonna end with something you said, and this is probably the weirdest way that I could ever end a call like this. But here's what I'm gonna say: it's not really about what we can do for you. If I'm here to sell you hard on what we can do, I'll talk about all the benefits and features and all that kind of stuff. What I would have you do is consider flipping that on its head. You want something different, you got to do something different. And what I would suggest to you in doing something different is consider what can you add? What can you add? Now, look, I know we're talking about what features and benefits and all the things that we offer, but hopefully we've done a good job doing that. But now the question is, what can you add? How can you contribute? Because what we found and what I've known to be true is a universal principle is the more that I contribute to anything, the more I get in return. So if you come into the Iron Council and you think, oh, what are these guys going to do for me? Oh, they're not giving me enough. Oh, I'm this and that. You're not going to have a great experience, frankly. But if you come here and you think, you know what, I'm going to pour into this, I'm going to invest in this, I'm going to give my time, I'm going to give my energy, I'm going to give insight, I'm going to share my experiences, I'm going to try to serve other guys, I'm going to help other guys, I'm going to invest in all this kind of, then you're going to have an incredible experience. We can't make it work for you, but we can grease the grooves. I said that earlier. That's what we want to do. We have all the tools and resources, and now it's up to you. It's up to you whether you implement them and what you're willing to give and contribute to not only us. Here's another weird way to end it. We don't need you here. I don't need you here. The guys that you heard from today, we don't need you here. We want you here. We care about you. We want you to win. We want you to succeed. We care about your family. We care about your neighbors and your community members. I can't serve your community members. I can't serve your wife the way you can, but we might be able to help you do it. So let us help, and then you can help us in turn. All right, guys? Cool. If you have any additional questions, email me, Ryan@orderofman.com, or comment on the Facebook or post or on the YouTube thing, and we'll get them answered for you. Again, we're open until January 7th. So that's Sunday. We're closing it down for the quarter. So you won't be able to join us after 11:59 p.m. Eastern on the 7th. Okay. Orderofman.com/Iron Council. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you to everybody who contributed in some way. Really appreciate that. Glad you guys are here, and we've got a lot of work to do. So hopefully we'll see you guys inside. All right. Make it a great night. We'll see you guys. Catch you very soon.